What's going on, guys? In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the all-new 2021 Subaru Crosstrek Sport. So I've already made a full review of the 2021 Crosstrek Limited. I'll have that linked above. Definitely watch this video first before you head over and check that one out. I've also done a comparison between the 2020 and the 2021 Crosstrek. That is live, so definitely check that out. I'll have it linked above as well. So we've seen the sport trim available on the Forester before, but never on the Crosstrek until this year. Now, again, we've already looked at the Limited. We've looked at the comparison between 2020 and 2021. So, we're just gonna kind of take a look at what you get here on the sport trim. And actually, some of the things that you get here, I really like. And some of them are kind of funny and kind of not that great, but we'll take a look at that when we get inside. Now, one of the big things that they were pushing in all the promotional material on the 2021 was that new green color. I forget the actual name of it. I'll put it on screen here, but it is awful. I mean, it is just a horrible color. We don't have any of those, thankfully, yet. I'm sure we'll get some since they're pushing it so hard. But we've got the same cool gray khaki color here, which is my favorite color on the Crosstreks by far. And it's on the sport trim here. So that has some pros and some cons that we'll look at in just a second. But I'm gonna walk through everything we got here, talk about what comes on this trim, and then talk about what little bits separate it from the normal Crosstrek for 2021. So let's start up front as always. Unfortunately, you just have halogen headlights, halogen fog lights. You do have the new 2.5 liter engine underneath. It's got 182 horsepower, 176 pound-feet of torque, 34 miles per gallon highway, 27 miles per gallon city. You have the redesigned front bumper that we've been seeing across the 2021 lineup. Now, a couple little differences here. The actual double thick strip here, the wings coming off of the Subaru badge are actually in this kind of powdered dark gray color, which looks so much better than the silver in my opinion. I mean, just the fact that it blends in so nicely makes it look super aggressive, super sporty. And then down on the plastic cladding here, you've got the sporty edition of these two lines right above the fog lights. Super aggressive, just you can feel it. Also, the grille has the little redesigned accents here, so the little kind of U-shaped look to it. Subaru badging right here in the center. And you've got a place for like a tow hook and things like that, but that's not necessarily different. You do have that same little square up front where you could put a 180-degree front-facing camera, but again, it's just there for show, I guess. All right, real quick, if you guys are into technology at all, head over and check out my tech channel, Mets Tech. I'll have a clip here on screen and I'll have it linked above. It's kind of my way of talking about technology while at the same time talking about the car space and kind of how those two intersect. I've made a couple videos on some dash cams, how to watch YouTube videos in your car, things like that. So head over there, check it out, drop some likes, drop some comments, and if you're into it, hit that subscribe button. Let's get back to the video. So it sits on 17-inch alloy wheels. They have this kind of cool dark gray powder look. Same kind of look as we've got on the front grille, on the wings, and then as well on the side mirrors here. It kind of all goes together in this kind of more aggressive, sportier look. So more simplified wheels, I think, than what we've seen on the Limited and comparing between the 2020 and the 2021. Just a little bit more, plain and aggressive. And I don't think they're bad, but they're just a little bit less interesting, I think. Again, this bumper here, kind of splash guard that runs around the wheel well, has a little bit of a different look to it. It's not as uniform. It's kind of got some additional edges and making it more sporty kind of look to it. Moving on back, like I mentioned, you have heated side mirrors. These are manual folding, but they've got blind spot monitoring built in. They've got turn signals as well. And they have this dark gray kind of satiny powdered look. I think it's really, really nice. I think it plays really nicely with the colors as well. It should look good with just about any color, but it'll definitely stand out with those new sport colors that we've got coming down the pipeline. Moving on back, you've got keyless access, just like we've seen on all the other trims. Up top, you've got these roof rails with the arrow crossbars as well. The power tilting and sliding sunroof here. Now, these things, the power tilting and sliding sunroof, inside a couple other additional features, the bigger infotainment screen and the auto dimming rearview mirror. Those are all part of an optional package that we've put onto the Sport here, but it should be, relatively standard. You're not going to see it on every single Sport, but for the most part, these kind of packages tend to get added on these types of trims. So moving to the back of the vehicle, you're going to notice a very similar type of back end that we've looked at on the Limited and then even on previous generations. So I misspoke in my previous video in saying that the Subarus were on a 3-year refresh cycle. That is actually not accurate. They're on a 5-year refresh cycle, with the 6th year of production being the all new, you know, total redesign type look. So we are only in the 18, 19, 20, 21, 4th year of that 5-year cycle. So next year we'll have kind of minor changes, and then the following year we'll have a huge redesign in 2023. So that's why the exterior has only been slightly refreshed and the interior has maybe like 1 or 2 changes. That's the reason. It's not because they just totally wimped out on us and didn't push it as far as I wanted them to. It's just because they're not quite to that full refresh yet, but we're getting there. But anyway, let's get back to the tailgate here. One of the big differences here is that you have these dark gray powdered badging bits instead of the chrome bits, which I think looks so much better. I'm a huge fan of powdered badging. I think it looks way better than the cheap kind of chrome badging is so just standard. I just don't think it looks as good. So you've got the Subaru all-wheel drive badging, you've got your Crosstrek badging, and then you have the sport badging. So I called it a green color. It's more a yellow. It's gross. But it's actually called plasma yellow. I think it looks more green, but I haven't actually seen it in person, so we'll have to go off of that. But if this is any representation, it's kind of a yellowy green type color. So the sport badging here is actually in a 2-tone, so it's in that plasma yellow and black. And that's kind of one of the things I was talking about, where if you have a color like the cool gray khaki here and you get the sport badging, it's still gonna have this kind of green accent to it, which looks a little weird. I mean, it definitely stands out, right? But maybe not in the best way possible. Now, if you were to have the green, you'd have the kind of matching look, and that would be cool. But unfortunately, you've got the green badging here. So those are the big differences: the powdered coating on the badges here, and then the sport badging with the 2-tone kind of green look to it. Nothing really changes with the diffuser or the plastic cladding back here. Up underneath, you've still got the cargo net, which is again part of that package I talked about earlier. You also have all of your mats back here. You've got your all-weather mats and your cloth mats. Now the cloth mats actually have this kind of cool sport accent to it. It's more of like a gold really than the green that we see right down on that badging. It's just kind of a nice gray and gold. So that looks cool. I think it also has it on the all-weather mats, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it does actually have it on the all-weather mats here as well. And we actually have a nice little accent line here. So you get the sport badging, kind of same type of look, and then this nice gold strip, which looks actually kind of cool. It really stands out and makes a difference there. Other than that, the trunk capacity is the same, all that kind of stuff. You don't have any additional features. In the rear gate, you know, cargo net, cargo shade, you know, light to see what you're doing, you know, spare tire underneath, all the same kind of stuff. So nothing really different there. You have some other little accents up underneath. You actually have the Subaru word mark up here, and then you've got a little LED light right here to see a little bit better what's in the rear gate, in addition to those halogen lights over on the sides. Let's go ahead and hop inside the cabin. All right, so hopping inside the cabin here, we've already kind of looked at this in our limited review and all that kind of stuff. But you have this, I mean, the cabin is exactly the same, right? There's no, you know, big changes other than visually. So let's take a look at some of those. I think the first thing that you'll probably notice when you get in here is instead of having that little silver U shape underneath the steering wheel, you have that same kind of plasma yellow, greenish kind of look to it. Also the accent stitching around the steering wheel, on the seats here, on the armrest, on the, you know, area up top, the rubber part of the dash, all the little accents that run around, it's all this plasma green color. So if you don't like the plasma green, probably not gonna like this. You also have it, instead of having the little orange accents on the gauges, you've got the plasma green accents on the gauges as well. So really that's the overarching theme of the Sport, is they're really leaning into that plasma green and hoping you like it. You've got adaptive cruise control on the right side and the new lane centering, not new for Subaru, but new for the Crosstrek lane centering button that replaces your lane keeping assist button. SI drive buttons underneath that. Again, like I mentioned, that plasma yellow little U shape. Past the steering wheel, just same standard gauges, same little LCD screen in between, nothing changes there. Same kind of button controls over on the left side. Now, the whole like look of the cabin is a little bit different than what we've seen before, because it's got all this like perforated, rubbery, you know, faux leather type look to it, with all the accents that were typically silver now being that dark gray powdered look, which to me just looks so much better. Push to start engine button's the same. You know, depending on if you have the optional package like we have on this one or not, you'll have either a 6.5-inch screen or the 8-inch screen. This has the 8-inch infotainment screen. It's got phone, Bluetooth, radio, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. You know, you've got a CD player even. In the rear view camera, nothing fancy. You've got your colored level markers and then your little turn indicator to let you know which direction the wheel is turning. You're missing the rear automatic braking, but you know, that's just one of the things you get on a lower trim like this. Automatic climate control down underneath. 2 USB-A ports, 12-volt outlet, 3.5mm jack. Here, Lineartronic CVT with that same kind of leather with the accent stitching. Now, this is kind of cool. Instead of having that silver piece again, it's got the dark gray on the shift knob, which I just think, I've already said it, it looks better, in my opinion. Manual parking brake. You've got heated seats here, which we'll take a look at a little bit in a second. And then you have X mode. Now, you actually have dual X mode here in the Crosstrek Sport, and it gives you the option of snow and mud or deep snow and mud, which you do not have on the normal X modes. You can switch between those different options just by pushing the button once or twice, depending on what you want to do. And it gives you a little visual representation of what you're in on screen, letting you know, hey, you're in snow or dirt or deep snow and mud, whichever one. Up top, you've got an auto-dimming rearview mirror with a compass, universal HomeLink garage door controls. Again, that's part of that additional package that we added on. You've got your sunroof controls. You've got LED dome lights, which are again part of that package. Inside the center console here, you've got another 12-volt outlet and 2 more USB-A ports. I'm gonna go ahead and shut this because that thing is right in my eyes. The only other difference you're really gonna notice on the Sport are the StarTex upholstered seats. Now, we first saw this, if I'm not mistaken, on the Onyx XT Outback for 2020 when they redesigned that. Now, these are a water repellent fabric here on the seats. So they're definitely like a leather or rubber up top on the headrest and then more appointed with that StarTex water repellent material. It's a little bit scratchier, you know, kind of like a raincoat would be. And I think they're awesome. I would love to have some sturdy, you know, water repellent, liquid repellent seats like this in my Crosstrek, because I've spilled a thing or two in my Crosstrek and I have cloth seats and that just doesn't come out. So having these StarTex seats would be awesome. They're this really cool two-tone gray, kind of a darker gray and then a lighter gray down the center with, again, no surprise, that plasma yellow Crosstrek name badge kind of right on the center of the seats here. No perforations here like we see on the Limited, but again, this is kind of more of a specific look that you're going for here in the Sport trim. And the cool thing is you've also got that in the back seats, so if your backseat passengers happen to spill anything or get, you know, mud or dirt or water in there after a hike, you're gonna be all set. So what are my closing thoughts on the 2021 Sport? I actually think this trim is fantastic. I obviously am a huge fan of the StarTex seats. I wish you could get those on more trim levels than just the Sport. The only thing that I'm really kind of down on is the color inside. I wish that it was specific to whatever, you know, color that you choose on the outside. I don't know. The Crosstrek is positioned in the younger demographic, right? The you know, Forester and the Outback are kind of for the older crowd, typically, not always, but typically the Crosstrek is positioned more for younger people. So having, you know, bright colored accents and things like that is something that the younger generation definitely, I think, would be a fan of. It'd be cool, again, if it just matched what you had on the outside. So if you have the cool gray khaki, you get the cool gray khaki accents. I understand that they're trying to differentiate the Sport trim with, you know, the StarTex, you know, seating and things like that. That's fine, I get that. I just, you know, personally speaking, think it'd be better if you had, you know, accent specific to that color. Even if you had, you know, more colors. So let's say you had 3 colors. You had a red, which had, you know, red accents here, red accent stitching, red accents on the badging, all that kind of stuff. And then the horizon blue that they're doing with, you know, a blue accent, things like that. And then the plasma yellow, just so there was a little bit of variation in color to where you could pick based on your specific stylings, but to be stuck with the plasma yellow. If you really don't like it, if you're put off by it, you're stuck. And you're like, oh, I really want those StarTex seats, and I really like the, you know, more aggressive cladding, and I like the dark gray gunmetal accents and things like that. But man, I really don't like that plasma yellow. You're sore out of luck, you know what I mean? I feel like they could do a little more with this trim and really make it into a super customizable trim, and I think it would definitely become the most popular Crosstrek trim by far if they did that. All right, guys, and that is the 2021 Crosstrek Sport. Drop a like on the video if you loved it. Tell me in the comments down below what is your favorite feature specifically of the Crosstrek Sport. Do you like that powdered dark gray accent on the wings? or the accent stitching, or the StarTex seats. Those are probably my favorite feature. I wish I could get those on other trims, but unfortunately we're stuck to the Sport here. But let's have a conversation about it down in the comments, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button to be among the first to see every single new video the second I hit publish. We'll see you in the next one.